Doing this intense week of urology, I make about 2/3 as much as I did as a full-time urologist in Southern California, working about 50 or 60 hours a week. So I recently talked about how in my current practice, I work 1 week a month in medicine as a Locum Tenens urologic surgeon, and I spend the rest of my time in real estate investing. And one of the big questions was, how much do I make as a Locum Tenens urologist, because I'm only working 1 week a month in medicine? And I think this is a great question, and I'm all about salary transparency. I'm gonna give things in relative terms. So first, let me just describe what I do as a Locum Tenens and what my duties are, and how this compared to when I worked full-time as a urologic surgeon, 50 or 60 hours a week in Southern California. So as a rule of thumb, you're going to find that positions as a locum tenens are going to be more highly compensated per hour than a regular employed position. And this is for a few reasons. I would say one of the main reasons that it's more highly compensated is inconvenience. So as a locum tenens right now, I travel from Memphis, Tennessee, and I take 2 flights because there's no direct flight, and I have to take 2 flights to get to Ohio. From there, I drive about an hour, and then I get to my hospital, and then I'm staying in a hotel. And I'm away from all the conveniences of home. I'm away from my family. So I would expect that a job that requires that does compensate higher than a normal job. And as soon as I start my shift, for 7 days straight, I'm on call. So that means that if there's a patient emergency in the ER, or if it's after hours and the patient's at home, or if there's an emergency on the floor and someone needs an emergent consult on the floor, or even in the operating room, I am expected to be available and take care of that 24/7 for 7 days straight. So one of the major things that the hospital is paying for is availability, and that's what I'm there for 7 days, and it takes the burden off of the local urologist who can get a rest. Additionally, when I'm there, I have scheduled cases. So a few days out of the week, I'll have scheduled operative cases with kidney stones that I've seen in the month prior, or renal masses that need to be removed, and things like that. And finally, I do see some patients in clinic, and I do some clinic procedures as well. I also round on all of the inpatients and take care of the consult service as well. So basically, as a locum tenens, I have a lot of duties, and the intensity of the work, I would say, is generally higher for that 1 week. Generally, I would say I'm much more tired after a week of locum tenens than I was after a week in my employed position in Southern California. So how much do I make doing this? 7 days of locum tenens, 24/7 availability. I want to be careful not to offend anyone, including my current employer, so I'm going to put it in relative terms. But doing this intense week of urology, I make about 2/3 as much as I did as a full-time urologist in Southern California, working about 50 or 60 hours a week. So I'll say it again, doing 7 days a month of locum tenens for the full year, I expect to make about 2/3 of what I did as a full-time urologist in Southern California. So some other caveats. When I was a urologist in Southern California, I was employed, and generally when you're employed, that caps the amount that you're able to make. I know many urologists who are in the private world made a lot more than I did. And secondly, there's a lot of variation. So when I was starting out in locum tenens, I took gigs that were making half as much as I currently do, and that's because either the intensity was lower or that was with a agency that just took more off the top. So there's a lot of factors. So a few closing comments. I am incredibly grateful that I have the opportunity to still practice medicine in this way that gives me so much more freedom and autonomy to work on business outside of medicine. This is what has given me the bandwidth to devote a lot more time to my passion for real estate investing and start Serious Real Estate, which is a passive investing company. And all of these things I think are only possible because I have this extended period of time outside of medicine to devote to those passions. So let me know if you want to hear more about this. I've been doing this for about a year now as a locum tenens, and I've seen a lot of things, so I'm happy to share. I'm Dan the Darwinian Doctor. I'm a urologic surgeon and real estate investor. Follow for more.